So Liverpool stretching their lead at the top. Injury hit Bournemouth battering Newcastle. Spurs making it 7 defeats in 10. Manchester United, just totally outplayed at Old Trafford. And their boss Ruben Amorim claimed after the game that this is the worst United side in history.
Like I said, I'm not going to change, no matter what. And I know we can succeed, but we need to survive this moment because I'm not naive. And I know that we need to survive now. So we are being the worst team, maybe, in history of Manchester United. And I know that you want headlines, but I'm saying that because we have to acknowledge that and to change that. So here we go, your headlines.
Yeah, that's the headline. Worst team in history. That's a big quote. I'm assuming he means Premier League history because I remember Manchester United teams back in the 80s and which were shocking. But I tell you what, Coisty, why has he said that? Because he's done it for a purpose, hasn't he? That's not just come off the top of his head.
No, I think he's probably done that, and not trying to give himself a little bit of time, but just to let everybody know the magnitude of the job, to tell you the truth. I think that's why he's done it. Not that there's any doubt from people that ourselves that can watch it and see it. I mean, I was at the Southampton game on Thursday night, and it was a game they should never have won. Never mind winning it 3-1 with a hat-trick from Ahmad, who was excellent, particularly second half. The Southampton should have beaten them. The chances Southampton missed were incredible. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I got away with one here. I'm interested to see how they go at the weekend. But I did fancy Brighton, I've got to say.
I just wonder, though, how the players will feel about being called part of the worst Manchester United team in history. I mean, maybe he's looking for a response. Maybe he's looking to get a reaction to a humiliation. I just don't know, but it's a very interesting policy.
The fact of the matter is, as soon as he says that, right, there is no way that group of players, no matter how good a coach he is, and no matter how much he thinks he can transform them, there is no way that a team that he thinks is the worst Manchester United team in modern history can turn into a team that's going to qualify for Europe and challenge for titles with the same group of players. That's just not possible, mate. So he's obviously done it for a reason, and the reason are to let everybody know the magnitude and size of the job. And he needs new players.
Yeah. Amorim brought in November. They picked up 11 points from 11 league games. Mark, the United fan, called the final word yesterday. He said the timing of the appointment was another mistake by Ineos.
Been a chance. He shouldn't have been brought in mid-season. We should have stuck with Van Nistelrooy playing a system which, least we forget, £200 million was spent on players for the Ten Hag system. So they kept Van Nistelrooy in playing that system and then let Ruben come in with a full pre-season and a transfer window.
That was Mark, the Manchester United fan. I'm not sure he's looked at Leicester's results recently when he talks about Ruud van Nistelrooy staying there. I mean, they were booed off the pitch. Leicester fans were chanting, "You don't know what you're doing," after they lost the latest home game against Fulham. It's 7 defeats in a row. I don't think Leicester fans would agree with Mark that they should have stuck with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I'll tell you what, Coisty, I mean, he's a handful of games in. But this is going to sound awful, but I already wonder if the Leicester board might be looking at that and thinking, well, we're still in touch at the moment. How long can we let this go on?
Yeah. The thing about Leicester and Manchester United as well, the one thing you normally get, and I think we maybe saw it to a certain degree yesterday with Everton, you normally get a reaction when you manager, Jeff, but that hasn't been the case at all, which is a real concern. And if you don't get a reaction when a manager comes in, then it's very, very. It's like the old saying, if you keep going to the same place, the same players, you're going to get the same results. And it really looks the same with Leicester, Jeff. I think, obviously, stating the obvious, they're banging trouble, but to get nothing, no reaction at all when a new manager comes in, I think it's a big concern, mate.
Yeah. And talking of big concerns, that brings us to Tottenham. Big Ange's season, as you mentioned, Coasty at the top, went from bad to worse. They lost 3-2 to Everton at Goodison. Oh, goodness me, they were flattered by that scoreline. 3-2. Could have been any score. 7 defeats in 10 now. Ange says he'll take the responsibility for their awful form.
I've never played a victim. At the end of the day, I still believe that the responsibility lies with me to get this right, and that's where I sit with things. Whatever the circumstances are, and it's fair to say it's a challenging situation for sure. A lot of it's kind of out of your control as a manager when you're kind of losing players in the manner we are at the moment. But I've still got to steer us through, and if I start sort of worrying about myself or the cards I've been dealt with, then again I kind of, it's a dereliction of my duties and my responsibilities. It's not how I see it. I see it as, these are the cards I've been dealt, and it's up to me to get us out of it. And I've got to be good enough to do that.
Solanke and Johnson out for weeks as well, which doesn't help the situation.
That's the one thing you've got to say, right? You have to be fair, and it's not an excuse. You need it is a reason. Centre backs, injuries, right? We've said that. Get it out of the equation. However, the level of performance, the manner of defending, Jeff, is miles off it. I mean, some of the goals are absolutely shocking. I mean, Dragusin for the second goal. The third goal, I feel a little bit for Archie Gray, but that's just the way things are going at this moment in time. But the level of defending, I think, is unacceptable. I really, really do. No matter who you're putting in there, it's been poor. Yes, of course, they've got injuries, Van de Ven, Romero, and boys like that. Davis come back in there, but wow, they just look all over the place defensively.
Yeah, they do. Their next league game is at home to Leicester. Cool. I don't think Ange can afford anything less than a comprehensive win. Yeah. Spurs fans, have you lost your patience with Big Ange? United fans, what do you make of Amorim claiming this is the worst United side of all time? 03717 223344. We're taking your calls all morning. Coming up, we tell you exactly what the back pages are saying about United and Spurs next.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.